May we get started? Are we still distracted by our phones? Okay. So now that you're in your book groups, all right. Just remember, these groups can change as we go from week by week for certain activities, okay? Because some of you might be reading a book that fits with the current group, but then your next book is probably better served in another group. So we can fix that, all right? Literary devices, okay? No writer has ever written anything without trying to get the audience to feel something, right? The only exception that I can think of at the top of my head is the Oxford Dictionary, right? Because that actually has no reason but other to inform. So everything is just denotation. It's not, there's no connotations, there's no rhyming, there's no anecdotes, all right? There's nothing fun, it's all dry, okay? Now, you are familiar with a lot of literary devices, so I thought it would be fun that we do some group activities together and try and get you to think critically about it, okay? Now, some literary devices are easy, okay? Because you see them in children's books, things like alliteration, it's very easy, all right? Last semester, I tried to get you doing some anecdotes, either from personal experience or something fictional or something from someone famous that gets context to your argumentative essays. So some of these literary devices you can use for argumentative essays, but some you're more likely to see in novels, all right? And it's great, in any novel that you read, imagery is the first thing that comes to mind, okay? Because as I told you about my experience with Lord of the Rings, and then going to the cinema and watching the first 20, 30 minutes of that film, and I felt the benefit of the imagery that I'd already imagined in my head as I read, okay? Now in literature, when you're kind of exploring and being critical of literature, or comparing, or contrasting, it's okay to say the effect or the use of imagery was great, all right? But that's like the bottom bar, right? It's okay to say imagery, but there are actual words that help, okay? So imagery may be a literary device, but there are lots of literary devices that specifically say why you have that image in your head, okay? Now, we have analogies, we have metaphors, we have similes. They all fall into the range of very similar sort of creativity, okay? I would say the difference between an analogy and a metaphor is analogies are literally true, okay? We use analogies, they're actually true. If you take them separately, you look at them, it's a real thing. Metaphor, no, it's not, okay? My cat is a rock, all right? That is not, it's not a rock. Unless you have something wrong with you, then yeah, sure, I won't, if you want it to be your cat, it can be your cat. It's fine, all right? So using your words to create image is very important. And today, as a little practice, I want everyone in the back row to put your head on the desk. Close your eyes, okay? Head on the desk, close your eyes. Now, so team 1, 3, and 5, all right? Without, no, not you, Minson, keep up here. All right, I know, it's late afternoon. Without using the most obvious descriptions, okay? No cheating, okay? I want you to think and describe this, okay? Without using the most obvious. A glowing umbrella. Okay, well, you got it right, okay? So it is a glowing umbrella. So, but the thing is, I felt like this is why we need to do today's exercise, okay? Lights back on. Now, I have a list. I have a list here, okay? Alliteration, allusion, okay? When you use a word that immediately is associated with someone else, okay? Mother Teresa is a popular one, okay? You're building on someone's trait. Analogies, okay? Connotations, it means something else. Denotations, it literally means the definition of that word, okay? Ones that you're very familiar with, I guess, foreshadowing. Now, there are a whole bunch of, there's 20, all right? What I want you to do is try to find like the top 5. What does your team think is like the 5 most common in literature, okay? The most commonly used, all right? So, first of all, pick a captain. So everyone put your hands up, put your fingers to the sky, okay? And on the count of 3, I want you to point to the person you think should be the captain, all right? On 3, not after 3, okay? You don't get to vote the day after voting day, you get to vote on the day. So, on 3, 1, 2, 3. There. So again, can you remind, like last semester, what does the role of the captain do in a group?
Encourage.
Encourage, okay? Keep everyone involved participating. Don't let any member fall behind, okay? So take the paper clip out, okay? Spread them around and try to create a top 5, maybe a top 10 list, okay? Each has a definition and an example, so please read them together as a group. Captain, choose who is going to read these. All right. Okay, so do we all have top 5s? Yeah. Okay, so let's hear from group 1. Can you drop us quickly the top 5? What about the easiest? What do you think, if you're a writer, what's the easiest to write? You look at all these literary devices. Do you think it's easy to make a plot? It's not. I mean, I was hoping one of you, yeah. It's really I mean, you need to check out my book section in the library, but no. So, from this list, can you create a list of what you think might be 2 or 3 things that you maybe find easy in your own writing? If you want to write it, if you want to use this literary device, what would you consider not that challenging? And 3 things that you would, looking at the example and looking at the description, you would find quite challenging, okay? So you can discuss as a group, in English, of course, all right? What do you think is challenging? Imagine you are the writer. Attention! Attention!
Attention!
Yeah, we've never done that before. I wish the camera could be on all the time. Group 1, what's the most difficult? What would you think you would really need a lot of experience to do? Sorry, group 1. Group 1.
We chose onomatopoeia.
As an easy one or difficult one?
As the easiest.
As an easy one, right? How many agree onomatopoeia would be a very, very easy one? I mean, ever since your parents read books to you, of course, onomatopoeia. You know, and you must understand, in the Korean language, there is much more onomatopoeia than there is in English. All right, it's an extensive list of onomatopoeia, like suk suk sak sak and all this kind of chika chika. Like we don't have words for that, and like I'm amazed by the huge vast amount of onomatopoeia in Korean. It makes the English language seem like we weren't trying hard enough, or we weren't being caring enough to our children to explain sounds to them. Okay, where would you expect to see onomatopoeia? Children's books, okay? So what would be the most difficult then? What would be one of these literary devices you think would be really challenging? Fiction is a genre, of course, yeah. But I mean, within fiction we have lots of different literary devices. What do you find challenging? Foreshadowing, okay, yeah. Takes a lot of foresight. Plot, yeah. I mean, Steven Spielberg's great at this, but you know, plot, story writing, like I mentioned over to this group, if you look at plot as a cliche device, you know, then it doesn't really become that complicated because we can just borrow off of cliche plots, you know, and that's what Hollywood has been doing for the last 60 years. So, you know, and that's why Korean New Wave cinema is why it is popular, because they break away just like the French New Wave. They don't pay attention to cliche plots, okay? They do things in their own way, and it's very difficult to write good original plots. Anything else? Group 4? Something challenging, difficult? Okay. So you ready for a challenge?
Yay!
I said, are you ready for a challenge?
Yay!
Are you gonna get them all right? Disturbing level of confidence. Okay, so here we just have a little grid, okay, of all of the literary devices that you've been categorizing, okay? And so I have some extracts. Some are from literary work. And being your MLA teacher, of course, I had to cite it correctly if I'm using work that is not my own. Okay? So, if that's a double, pass it over to that group. Alright? So each one of these extracts, each one of these sentences goes on that grid. Alright? So, see if you can get them all on. Personification. The last piece of pie calling you, okay? Just like today, you may be full, but the last piece of chicken was calling you, saying, eat me. Alright? Plot.
Story minds.
Some friends become enemies. Setting.
Once upon a time.
Absolutely. Glad you picked up on the Disney setting. Simile.
Blue as the sky.
Very done together, very good. Okay? Symbol.
In daily life, people often associate ideas.
Very good. Now that we're down to the last two. Theme.
This story reminds us of the importance of family and the use of hard work.
Yes. Do you see how those are important things, morals to life? All right. And finally, tone.
Can someone tell me what the hell is going on here?
Very good. So, how many of you got at least half right? All right. Now, there is a bigger picture to this, okay? While you read, or in some cases those that have finished the book, while you reread, okay? As I mentioned before, as you read, I want you to make physical notes of effective literary devices that do set the tone, that do set the mood, okay? That do help your image of the characters, your image of the environment, okay? Your feeling about the story, all right? Take physical, like, typed or written notes. Obviously, don't write in the library books, all right? So, if we were to go back, if I was to say, like, there's a lot of dystopian, a lot of thriller, and a lot of, like, sort of horror, all right? What effective literary devices do you think work in these genres of books? What do we need to get us into these books? From the 20 that you see. Obviously, I mean, we had, you know, setting, tone, plot, you know, imagery. But any other literary devices you think work well for horror? You mentioned onomatopoeia works well in, you know, kids' books. All right. But what about the books that you've chosen? Do you think metaphors would work well here in a horror book? I mean, if it was a gory metaphor or simile, I guess that might work. No? Foreshadowing? Could be loud.
Foreshadowing.
Very good. Foreshadowing, that's right, okay? That's the kind of things in all like horror genre. We need that kind of, from the very beginning we need to feel uneasy, okay? Did you enjoy this kind of being like How did you suck, Paris?